ABC News, 9/11 continues. Once again, Peter Jennings.
Just before we go on, I want to not correct something, I just want to add something because, you know, as we listen to the names being read today here, not at the Pentagon, but also out in Pennsylvania, we realized how important this was to people. And when we were giving some details about one person or another, we actually missed someone who was really very important, and his name is Don DeFranco. He was 43 years old, and he worked for us. He was the WABC television transmission supervisor at the top of the World Trade Tower, where, until September 11th, all of the television stations in town had their transmitters. He was on the 110th floor. He was working alone at the transmitter site. He was a dedicated human being. And we didn't hear his family didn't hear his name mentioned today. And we just mentioned it. Proud to do so. Proud to do so. We have met some remarkable people who have been touched in so many different ways by these attacks, and they've all got remarkable stories to tell. Don's among them. You're going to hear some of them in this particular half hour, and we're going to begin with those who were involved in the recovery effort at Ground Zero. And we've said a couple of times that this is very intimate to those of us who live in New York, but at the time, you'll recall, the whole world was engaged in this. Now, the workers who've spoken to us have all say they have been profoundly changed by this experience. Many of them share similar feelings of survivor guilt. We talked a little bit about that with a psychologist earlier today. She said it was perfectly normal. A lot of people share a sense of failure because they did not recover more bodies. We're helped in this particular segment by a photographer named David Margulis. He was among a handful of people who were granted access to what became known as the pit. It became very much off limits for a long time, but over several months he and many of the workers themselves documented the physical as well as the emotional toll of working there. And this is the first-hand account from 9 of the workers.
My first time there, I just stopped and my jaw dropped.
You felt the heat underneath your feet, and the steam would make it unbearable to breathe.
I hated being down there, but then when I left, I wanted to go back.
My name is David Margulis. I'm a photographer. The workers down at Ground Zero were people at their finest. Men and women working way beyond their mental and physical capacities. Though they were firemen and policemen and others, they didn't have to be down there. They volunteered to be down there. I found out what these people were all about, and they said they would show to the world what we're doing.
I got there the second day. Basically started crying the minute I got there. It was something I'll never forget.
It was like just chaos. Nobody really knew what to do, but we were there to do whatever we could do to help.
I went down on my day off. We found a spot. We started digging. Whatever you picked up with your hands, you put in a bucket and passed the bucket back.
The fatigue level was incredible. The heat was intense.
And I remember the first night, the bottom of my shoes started to melt.
I didn't see a desk. I didn't see a chair. I didn't see a computer screen. I didn't see anything that resembled anything. Everything was just pulverized.
In the beginning, there was no such thing as a 12-hour day. It was work until you dropped.
I tell you who was really kicking tail there, the iron workers. Initially, those weeks, they were the guys who were allowing everybody else to do their jobs.
Hey, man, you tell me where you want to get. I'll burn it, push it, pry it, get a crane in here, whatever it takes, and make it happen.
The dedication was incredible. They were going to be down there until they pulled out the last body.
When you'd get off your shift and you'd walk out, the people would come up with those pictures. Remember, like, this is my son or this is my daughter. Call me anytime you want.
I personally saw a 4-star chief of the police department. He was down there digging on his hands and knees. I saw a lot of old firemen. As I looked into it, later on I found out they were there digging for their kids.
Some mornings you'd come in and you'd see the night crew and you'd say, how'd it go? They didn't find a thing all night. And you'd be like, wow, nothing?
Sometimes we'd find ID, and you'd take out someone's wallet and you'd look at their picture and their driver's license. You'd compare that to what was before you. And it was so hard.
You know, we bring them out and you put a flag on them, you say a prayer, and you give the man respect. It's a beautiful thing, showing respect. January 1st, we pulled 11 firemen out. It was an incredible day. It was a great day.
What I saw was the human spirit at its finest. To take the worst catastrophic situation that we've ever had, and these people trying to make it better for somebody else.
We did the best job we could down there. Everyone I'd met, everyone's heart was in what had happened.
The digging is over, but the emotional suffering will probably never be over.
I hated being there, but it was the biggest honor of my life. We brought them home. We brought people home to their families. From the bowels of hell, we brought them home.